All right. First episode is go time.
Episode number 1.
We here. Everybody, welcome to the Tap In. I'm Chris Harris,
And I'm Dystany Spurlock.
and we are here to bring you something different to the motorsports industry. We want to talk current events, culture, just everything that has to do with everything from a perspective that you can be used to. So, I'm the president of the African American Automotive Association, and I met Destiny a couple of years ago. Doing an interview, matter of fact, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
And then we've been locked in, just both trying to change the game in this industry, and just her just being a leader and a super example um, on every racetrack possible.
All of them.
All of them. What is it? Motorcycle. So you started out in arena, right?
Yes. On the four-wheel side, I started out in arena racing at the Richmond Coliseum. Like what, 2012, 2013, somewhere up in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was my first time getting into some four-wheel action.
Was it dirt or was it like what was it?
So they custom built this aluminum track that they made in, I can't remember how many pieces it was. I think it was something like 60 pieces or 50 or 60 pieces. And they brought them in one by one into the Coliseum and they set the whole circle track up and we raced on it. So the surface of it, it was kind of like asphalt, but of course it wasn't asphalt, but it was
Mhm.
like a rubber topping that they put on top of it. And we had our little go-karts on there racing.
Oh, so it was like legit like Mario Kart inside of the arena, like y'all was getting it.
Yeah, it was only 2 cars can fit side by side. Sometimes you would get three wide going into the turn, but for the most part, it was 2 cars and we were all nose to tail.
How many cars would be racing at a time?
I can't remember, honestly. Let me see. It probably was like 14 of us. Total 14 of us.
It's just real life Mario Kart.
Oh no, and the car they would flip over and everything. It was real life NASCAR Mario Kart version.
Really? So
Yeah.
you flipped. So was the track elevated a little bit, or was
Yeah,
it
it
like
was banked. It was banked around
uh-huh.
all turn one, like on the turns and the straightaways. They were not flat. They were still kind of banked, but not like the turns. So it was intense. I wish arena racing was still around now.
Did you ever flip out? Like
Of
flip
course.
out the front?
Oh, when I say they were out to get me, they were out to get me. And in the beginning, I didn't like it was all new to me. It's not like we had test days or you can just go to the track. No, you test it during race day, like when it's time to race. So when I first started, I wasn't as fast. So they
Mhm.
would just hit the back part of my car and I'll go twirling around.
No, this is Mario Kart. It sounds mad dangerous, but it sounds so much fun.
No, it was definitely very safe and it was a lot of fun. It was cool.
That's dope. And then
Yeah.
motorcycles, right? So you started out, and for those of you who don't know, like Destiny is like a racing extraordinaire. She does motorcycles, open wheels, something else that I can't even announce yet. And so, but motorcycles is kind of her start and her passion. All right.
Yes.
So you racing what series do you race in again?
So for drag racing, I race in the you make me draw a blank right here.
But
In the XDA. I
first
race in the
episode, y'all. First episode, y'all. We here.
no, look, first episode, kind of nervous, but
Yeah. We here. This is
but
real. We're
yes, I
giving it
race
to
in
you
that.
guys real and raw. That's the only way we could do it.
It's okay. I race in the XDA series right now for motorcycle drag racing. Next year, NHRA. We're still working on
Woo!
sponsorships and partnerships. Yes, and then but currently XDA and the Skip Barber Formula 4 series. Yeah.
Formula 4, right?
Yeah.
So that's that open wheel. And I believe it, I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. My big ass was in one of these cars before. And I was in the one that was specially made for tall people, right? So, and it was so much fun though. I got to do it with the Berto Roof School, which RIP it no longer exists. But man,
Mhm.
how do you love like being in that open wheel car?
Y'all, I'm gonna be honest. I get the question all the time. Do you like the cars or do you like the motorcycles? I am a car girl, open wheel or like GT style car, NASCAR.
Mhm.
That's me. I love it. This is my first year in an open wheel car ever, and it's unlike anything I've ever raced before. They always say trust the downforce, and I'm like, I'm a little nervous. Like, you sure it's okay to go 120 kilometers this fast and then break this deep? But it's taking me some time. But yeah, I love it. It's amazing. Like, really
Feels
good.
like, and when you're that low on the ground, one thing I really remember, and we didn't have speedometers on our cars, so we couldn't tell how fast we were really going. They're saying they would top out like at 110 or something on the straight at the time of the cars we were doing. But when
Mhm.
you're that low to the ground, that 110 feels like 180. Like the feeling of speed is so much different. Like you feel the wind pushing your helmet back. You just hear everything. Like you would swear you're going 200 miles per hour in that car, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's definitely different being in the car versus looking, because when I look at the film, I'm like, oh, I look like I'm going slow. But when I'm in the
Mhm.
car, I'm like, oh, I'm going 250 down the straightaway. Like, you can't tell me nothing.
And you're the first African American woman in history to race in an open wheel car in the series, right? In the
Thank
American series, which is huge. Big
you.
things, Juan, big things. So
Yes,
it's like, I mean, there's no weight on your shoulders in the sense of it's not like you aimed like I'm gonna go out here and be the first black woman to do this, but it
exactly.
is what it is. You are what you are, right? So
Yep.
how's the you racing the Bertaroo series? How's like the
Skip Barber
interaction?
series.
Oh yeah, R.I.P. Bertaroo. It don't even exist anymore. First day, guys. We about to get fired on our first day from our own podcast. um, how does it feel like to that accomplishment? And I went to one of your races and it was so dope to see it. And my sons came, and
Hmm.
so just for me, representation. I talk about it all the time how important it is. And these two black boys looking at this black woman go out there. And my sons grew up in racing, right?
Yeah.
Especially my oldest. I used to run the facility, so he was there since he was like 2. Got
Mhm.
pictures of him on the drag strip in the tower, and this is the first time he's ever said, "Daddy, I want to be like that." And
Yes.
it was amazing to hear that. And you're a woman, you're a girl, boys, girls,
Yeah.
and he was inspired. So like, how does it feel to kind of be her?
Honestly, that's really why I do everything that I do, to be that inspiration to kids, because me growing up, I didn't know anything about racing. I mean, you saw your NASCAR and stuff like that, but to be able to be that example and show these kids that, hey, there is something else out here to do other than, football or, your basketball or your cheerleading. So for me to be able to be in that seat and to be an example for kids, that makes my heart flutter. Like, I don't care. I'm not gonna say I don't care if I win or lose, because the girl want to win. But but that's not always the most important thing. The most important thing to me is to be the example and know that in the next 2-3 years that there's going to be 6-7 more kids coming up after me saying, hey mom, I want to get into go-karts, I want to get into open wheel cars, or whatever it may be. So it makes me feel real good.
That's dope. And
Yeah.
in the series, I think you said before you're ninth right now, so you're in the top 10 of the series, killing it, which is super dope.
Yes.
And how's the reception from your fellow racers? Like, how has it been?
So most of the racers that I'm racing with, they've been racing go-karts since they were 4 years old. So, or
Yeah.
3, who knows, like early on. So they do give me a lot of props because I'm brand new into this space. I've never had any training. I'm not on the sim all the time. So I will say they do respect me, and they know that if I did have more seat time and more coaching and things like they had, I really think that I know that they know I would be a super threat to them. But
Mhm.
they're very, very accepting of me, and they're willing to give you, tidbits, kind of.
Yeah. A
Not too
little
much.
bit, not too much.
Yeah,
Not
not too
not
much.
trying
Yeah.
to give
Look,
away the tips, but I try to
right.
help you a little bit.
They're like, oh, you can go a little deeper into that straightaway before you hit the brakes, And I'm like,
Like, could you
okay.
help me? Like, all right, that thing in front of you is a steering wheel. That's all I could do. Just use it.
Right. But it is fun to race with a lot of people that have a lot of experience because when you're racing with people that have that experience, it forces you to get better, Because if you're just with people that are on your level, you're never going to get that hunger, that push to really go out there and try to get it and be up there with the top 3 people. So
That's
yeah,
true. I
it's a
always
challenge.
wondered, like, I was dreaming about weird dream the other day, but it was a dream during a nap. That's probably why it's weird too, right? But I was the salt flats. I was
Yes.
like racing in the salt flats, and I woke up and I was like, damn, that'd be really cool to do.
I
These guys are going
actually
300 and something miles per hour, even more than that, right? Some of them like in the 5s and 6s, I think.
I couldn't even tell you. It's crazy how fast they go. And I actually had an opportunity to do that back in 2012 or 11. The deal
Mm,
fell through, unfortunately, but that would have been really cool to get on the soft flats
that's crazy. You just go and go and go and hold on and go and hold on
and
and
hope the
go.
motor don't blow up.
Word, because that happens a lot.
Yeah, it
That
does.
happens absolutely a lot.
Yes.
So, in some interesting news, and we talk about you making history in open wheel racing. Myles Rowe, for those of you who don't know who Myles Rowe is, he's a, I guess, 22, 23-year-old gentleman out of Brooklyn.
Oh,
Um,
he's from Brooklyn? I didn't know that.
another New Yorker. New Yorkers, we just do it better than everybody else, apparently.
Oh, okay. Continue.
So he out of New York, and he races for those who don't know, Force Indy team. So a big thing about the association is always been about diversity and trying to make this industry, the automotive industry and motorsports industry, more diverse. Right, people of color, Black women, not only diverse in the way it looks, but the diversity in the ideas that's presented, and also in the culture. Right, what represents us as a culture, being able to be in this industry and not look down upon.
Mhm.
So Force Indy was created by a gentleman named Rod Reed in partnership with Penske Racing. And the whole point of this team was to bring diversity into it. So it was the first time, other than Willie T. Ribbs in 91 becoming the first African American to race in the Indy 500, but Myles he was the principal, the first racer of this diversity team. It was a Black principal, Black driver, Black mechanics, blackity black, right? And so it was created to prove that not only can a diversity team race, but we can win.
Mhm.
And so Myles Rowe, I think 2 years ago, started out in USF 2000, and he wind up starting off really shaky, but he won his first race and become the first since Willie T. Ribbs the first ever to win a race.
Mhm.
And then this year, a week ago, he became the first to win the championship, the first Black man to win a open wheel racing championship in North America. So when you think about the entire landscape of racing,
Mhm.
there's only 2 Black guys in open wheel racing to win anything as far as a championship. That's right. There you go. The GOAT,
LH.
Lewis Hamilton, right? And this gentleman right here, Myles Rowe. And first of all, I spoke to Rod Reed not too long ago, and I told him this color scheme with the car is so fly. It's not even funny.
Mhm.
Like how they put that thing together. Like, Dustin, you're into fashion, right? Like fashion is your thing. Like that blue, red, and white, that blue, red, and black, how they put that together.
Nah, it was perfect. The
That's
placement of the colors, the shades, they did that.
it's fly. Like it's so fly. And the other thing about it is the number 99 on the car pays tribute to Rajo Jack, who is considered one of the first race car drivers ever, and this is like in the 1800s, the early 1900s. So it was really dope to see. Here's a car in action too. Um, Man, I mean that's just a good looking car.
When I see this picture, all I see is the gap. Like as a racer, sorry. Like I
That's
just
that
see
race
the
vision
gap.
right there. She's like, oh, they all the way back there. No,
Yeah.
that's true. I've looked at this picture 4 times and I never even paid attention. I'm more
That's
looking
a
at
good
the pretty
feeling.
colors and the numbers, and you like, yo, look at that gap back there.
That's a good feeling right there. You like, yo, they're back there. I'm good. Let's keep it going.
Nah, it's so dope, man. So intentional. And Myles Rowe became the first African American in history to win an open wheel championship, and it's so significant in the landscape of representation because now it proves that not only can a diverse team compete, but you can win too.
Yep.
And he didn't even have to do the last race.
Nope.
He won the championship with another race to go.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
that's phenomenal. That's really good. But that's when you put in the work. Like you said, the first year he started, it started off a little shaky. But sometimes you need that not so good season because that's what gives you that hunger. That's what gets you that look. Whatever I gotta do, whatever it takes to get me better, to as my boyfriend says, become a student of the game. Like you really have to do that because it shows. Like when you become a student, man, can't nobody tell you nothing. And clearly Myles did that.
But what's also with racing though, the thing that kind of sucks about it, and you can talk to this better than I could,
Mhm.
but a perfect example is what's happening to Lewis Hamilton this year. As
Yep.
great of a driver as you can be, you're
Mhm.
really only as good as your car can make you, right? And
Yeah.
that
It's too
that has to suck as a driver knowing that your equipment isn't up to par.
Yeah, even Bubba, he went through that. Bubba and Lewis are going through the same thing. You can be a great driver, like you said, and if your equipment sucks, what can you do? Like it's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But I guess
And
it's a
then
part of
like,
race.
and even like with you and Skip Barber, like you only get one set of tires the entire weekend. So, I mean, I don't know how these race schools do, but that's kind of trash. I got to sit here and these guys are changing tires 4 or 5 times a race, and I only get one set for the whole weekend.
Yeah,
Like,
yep, in our race series, in the skid bumper race series, we only get one set of tires. And that one set of tires lasts you for 2 practice sessions, which are 20 minutes. Then you get 2 qualifying sessions, which is 15 minutes each. And then you get 2 races, and then your races are 25 minutes each. So you but it's kind of good though, Chris, that I think about it, because it teaches you tire management. Because and it kind of keeps it on an even playing field. It kind of sucks, especially on flat tracks like NOLA. Oh my
mhm,
gosh. By Q1, my tires are
mhm,
gone. Yeah,
it's
but
NOLA, right? Just and I'm kind of jumping around, but the dope thing about racing is you get to travel, right?
yes.
And New Orleans is one of these. To me, it's like a mythical place that doesn't exist because as many times as I've tried to get there, it's always something that's happened, whether flights canceled or something else comes up, and like New Orleans doesn't exist to me, right? One of my favorite restaurants in the world is called Otis Brennan, and it's the one I ate out of is in Memphis, right? Big shout out to Memphis, and it's New Orleans based food, and I'm telling you. It is so like it's a problem how good it is. Like when you're flying somewhere and you're thinking about a restaurant, I know that's fat, but it is so good. And it's
Yeah,
like the guys are like, "Oh, you should taste this in New Orleans," and I'm just like, "Shut up." So I know being able to travel and the food, like NOLA, the
yeah,
places to eat.
yeah. It's
We
very
got. We
food.
said we're gonna do that, right? We're gonna do something where when we travel around and go to eat at these restaurants.
Definitely. SEMA, going to get some food wherever. But yeah, you got to make it to NOLA at some point. Because
I don't think Nola wants me there.
Essence Fest. Essence Fest next year.
Destiny. I've tried. I've booked flights. I've booked hotels. I've done everything a normal person would do to travel. And for
I don't know.
some reason,
You must get some bad
Mexico and New
juju.
Orleans don't want me there. They don't want me to have real tacos and tequila. And they doesn't
Nope.
want me to have hand grenades and jambalaya. It just, I don't know why.
Sorry.
Pour out a little liquor for my never going to New Orleans.
It's all good.
Oh, I don't want to go. But back to history and racing and first and you're a perfect example, right? Like being first, you don't set out to do it, but when the accolade comes, like is it weird talking about being the first? Sometimes me being a former athlete, I never really like talking about myself like that. Is it weird having to explain it to people?
Not really. To me, honestly, most of the time when I become the first of something, I don't realize it doesn't hit me. And then when it does hit me, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, cause I don't put myself first. Like, like I said, everything that I do when it comes to racing, it's to be that example for others. Like, so it's cool. Like it's dope. But it's not like a thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm this something like no.
That's very like humbling not to gloat. I guess I wouldn't do it in public, but I'd be home be like, yeah. Yeah, put the toaster up in the wall. Yeah, I did that. Man, that's cool though. No, but it's a big shout out to, for those who don't know Destiny, please follow her. Her Instagram handle is there. She's got a lot of cool things going on. And actually, one cool thing that just happened, and the color in the background is fitting. And put that bottle back up. This she has just been announced today, whatever today's date is, September something.
Did you say December?
I said September. I'm not that great. This is September.
Okay. Cool.
September. What is today? The 8th or 7th, something like that.
Right?
The 7th.
Lucky
there we
7.
go.
Lucky number 7.
See? But Destiny is now the first professional woman spokesperson for Pure Fuel energy drink.
That's right.
So this company, for those of you who don't know, is founded by 4 gentlemen. And I don't want to mess up anybody's name, but I know this. Gilly the Kid, there's Wallow, right? There's Mustafa, and I can't remember the last gentleman's name.
I'm terrible with names. We're not gonna do this today.
I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna look it up right now. I can't. It ain't no way. I gotta get on my Home Depot glasses to look.
Y'all, okay, so speaking of glasses, I know this is off topic, but y'all, I love glasses. Like I have now 2, but I love selling glasses and all that. Well, Chris puts on these glasses. He's just like, yeah, I got it from Home Depot. I'm like, Chris, we gotta get you up on game, my boy.
Eric Lance and Rod Todd Johnson. Boom. There we go. So first of all, guys, let me explain the logic behind these things, right? I think this makes perfect sense, okay? I know these look a little crazy, but mind your business. So the first thing is I'm blind, right? I can no longer see as good as I used to. My phone, anything my phone is computer right now is hard to see, but anything far driving, anything like there's something right here on the other side, I can see it perfectly. So I just need readers. So I went and got these fancy glasses. There was like a 2-for-1 deal, these fancy frames, and I was just flying these frames. And I literally lost one and broke the other one within 30 days. I was like, this can't be life. I can't get another pair. I'm not doing that. So I went to Home Depot one day and they had the glasses by the register. So I was like, I was trying to read a label of something in Home Depot and I grabbed the glasses and I went like this and I was like, these are perfect. And I looked at it and it said like $1.99. Then there was a pack next to it of like 5 for like $8. Say no more. I bought everything on the row, and anytime I break one, I just get another one. It's economics. My last name is not Buffett. I had to make
Whatever
sure,
floats your boat.
right? I can't be fancy. If Destiny, you find me some of those fancy designer looking glasses you got that are so fly for about $199, I'm in there.
Got you. Check.
I'm in there.
Done.
So that's where it comes with my Home Depot glasses. But they get me through. So I found the names of the gentlemen for Pure Fuel, and
Yes.
the dope thing about it is these guys represent culture. Dystany represents culture, and I feel like it's a match made in heaven. Being able to merge culture, energy drink, and sports and motorsports is huge. We see the monsters, we see, the Red Bulls, we see all these companies, but they really don't, even Prime, but they just don't really resonate with us. All right. Culturally, this company gets it. You talk more about them, they're your partners, but I'm just so impressed by them, man.
Yes. So Pure Fuel, first of all, the name in itself, Pure Fuel. Like pure, it makes you want to relax already. It's like pure, okay, what's that? Then you say fuel. Being in motorsports, it makes you think, okay, like fuel, like that you put in the tank. So it catches your attention. But it's like he said, it's a hydration energy drink, and y'all, it tastes amazing. But to get back on topic, they really fit me because I'll tell you a quick story. So I got to do a career day at an elementary school. And I took my motorcycle, had my whole setup, everything. And it was like an inner city school. And literally every child that came up, they're like, that's a motorcycle. I'm like, yeah. They're like, you raced that? I'm like, yes. They're like, I didn't know girls did that. And ever since that moment, like I heard that, it's like, okay, I gotta push this out to kids in our community. And then what brings me back to Pure with that is they do so much in the community. And that really, like he said, resonates with who I am and what I'm trying to do. So this company is awesome. They have everything in Philly right now, but they're working on getting into big stores, and you can get them on Amazon too. But and they have these bites, like little energy bites. Yeah, y'all gotta check them
Yeah.
out.
I put in an order. I haven't tasted it yet, but Destiny has been raving about the taste of it.
Yeah,
So
watermelon is my favorite. So this is the cherry one. Yes, this is cherry bomb.
Cherry bomb. I'm not a watermelon fan. I don't do watermelon anything. Yeah, like my son is
Okay.
obsessed with watermelon. I can't stand the taste. It feels like an incomplete fruit.
Well, they have 4 flavors. You have your cherry bomb, you have your watermelon, you have your tropical, and then they just launched the lemonade lemon one. So, yeah,
I
you
do
got
lemon.
4 flavors to try.
I think I'm gonna try all of them except for the watermelon. Like I
Come
just feel
on,
like watermelon is such a, I don't know.
it's
It's such
yummy.
an incomplete fruit. Like I guess when you have a really good one, it's sweet, but I just feel like, what it tastes like to me? When you get
What?
some of these drinks in the store and it's like a fruit splash like water. So
Yeah.
you taste it and it tastes like water, but there's like a hint of fruit. That's watermelon. It's like the fruit didn't finish growing or something. It tastes like
Well, there's a trick
incomplete
when you go
fruit.
get watermelons. You have to pluck them. A lot of people don't know this. You have to pluck them, and it's this very distinct sound that you'll hear. It's kind of like a hollow sound, and when you hear
You're
that,
a
you know that
watermelon.
one is going to be sweet.
You're the watermelon whisperer.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know. I
cool.
can't.
But
I've seen. Have you seen the yellow watermelons?
yeah, they don't taste any different.
It tastes exactly the same.
Yeah, and I think they're probably genetically modified. Which brings me back to this: Pure Fuel Sport is plant based. So for all my plant based people, here you go.
You're plant based. You're a plant based athlete.
Yes, that's right.
The market's changed for you guys, man. This before it used to just you had to just really go out there and mow the lawn and take it and blend it. But now, like you guys have taken over. You guys, every store sells something plant based.
That's right.
When Burger King, the most unhealthiest fast food chain in the world, could give you a plant-based sandwich, you know you guys have won. You're in there.
And shout out to Slutty Vegan for all my vegan people, even if you're not vegan, honestly. So, like, yeah, we went to Atlanta and Cortland is my boyfriend, if y'all don't know. He's never had any type of slutty vegan anything. So we went, fell in love with it. So never say
They
never.
actually have a spot in Brooklyn too. They just opened one
Yes,
like a
they
year
just
ago in Brooklyn.
yes.
Yeah. I tried, I can't remember what I tried. It was a bite of something else, and it was good. It was really good. It was a bite of somebody's. I didn't go all in, but it was good. You couldn't tell. It was like a fake burger. I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't say a fake burger, but it was like a plant-based stuff. But it had like so much stuff on it too. It was
Mm-hmm.
toppinged out, and it was mad
Yeah.
good. I can't even from. I just didn't want. Wasn't hungry. I just wanted to taste it. I wasn't greedy
Well,
that day.
I will say though, when I was completely holistic vegan, um I, as a person, felt so much better, especially when it came time to racing. Like, I felt more energized, more focused, more locked in. Not that I have anything against people that eat meat and all that stuff like that. Like, whatever, do you? It's cool. But
Peace.
for me, being an athlete, well, a motorsports athlete, it really was a game changer, and I gotta get back to it.
It's a lifestyle to keep up though, right? And especially as expensive. Like anything bad for you is like $2. When you really want to start eating healthy, you just multiply that times 20. They make it tough.
Facts.
Burgers 99 cents, a salad is $20.
Get a garden. Get a garden
Get
out
a
back.
garden. Don't you green thumb too? Don't you garden out?
So I used to. I have no time, unfortunately. But yeah, I used to start my plants from like seeds in the house, then take them out, put them in a garden, all that. My poppy, which is my grandfather, he still does it. But yeah, yeah, I
Your
love
grandma will be out
nature.
there busting them weeds. Does he do it old school? Like he got like the hacks? Like he don't use no power tools. He be out there doing it himself.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
That's funny. But actually, that's an interesting point too. You talk about health and fitness and motorsports. Being an athlete, just it's important to watch what you put in your body. You
It's
have a
important.
specific routine.
Used to. I used to. I used to. But I'm getting back there. Like y'all, I used to go to the gym every day, like get it in. But my schedule's just been so crazy and hectic, and I'm just a little bit all over the place. But we getting back to it.
Life
I'm
be
getting back.
life, and
Yeah, it did.
life be life, and so
Yeah.
that's dope though. I mean, it's I know it's the best route to go and a healthy way to eat. It's just hard, and I'm a foodie, so it's like if I want to eat pork sandwich, I want the pork sandwich. But
Yeah.
I have cut back tremendously on the amount of red meat I eat. I probably only
That's
do it
good.
once a week now.
That's
More so on the fish and the shrimp.
good.
But
Mhm.
I feel like Bubba Gump sometimes. It's like how many times can you cook shrimp? Like
That's
different
true.
ways.
That's true.
Fricassee, fried shrimp, sauteed shrimp. I'm like, damn, I'm over.
Yep.
And it's tough, but falafel
Yes.
is a big thing for me. I love falafel.
Never had it.
Word. You gotta try. You like hummus?
Oh yeah, I love hummus. Yeah.
So it's like
Black
from the
bean hummus is
chickpea,
my favorite.
but it's fried, right? So I guess it kind of eliminates the healthy part of it. But it's
Yeah.
pretty much fried chickpeas and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
like
I mean, as
something
long as you
else.
use grapeseed oil when you fry it, you're fine. You're good.
Nobody uses grapeseed oil. When you go to the store, that's probably just straight canola or peanut oil and
No. You have grapeseed oil, you have avocado oil, you have sunflower oil. Don't get me
I'm just
started.
saying, when you go into these spots to get it and they cooking it in the back and
Oh,
they
yeah,
got
yeah,
that
yeah.
big deep fryer, they're not putting grapeseed oil in there.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
That's good old fashioned lard.
Not healthy at all.
Cholesterol kingdom. That's that healthy food is floating in that
Fact.
cholesterol kingdom. So but health. That's a whole nother segment we could get into.
Yeah.
Looking at health. Let me put on my spectacles. All right. So we got my SEMA. You spoke about SEMA, right?
Yes.
For those who don't know, what is that?
SEMA is the largest, am I going to say this right? Automotive trade show.
Yep, bang.
Nice. In the States. Like it's humongous. People come from all over the world to come to this show. They do it once a year. It's this year's from October 31st through
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Yeah, November 3rd.
Third, yeah. And it'll be at Vegas in the humongous convention center. And we will be there. Woo, under the African American Automotive Association. We have a huge booth out there this year, guys. And it's some surprises. So
Yeah, we're gonna announce it, I think, next week. And I want, people who watch this to know when we talk about, African American, like diversity is what we're about, right? And but it doesn't exclude anybody else. And I need to make that clear, because sometimes people get in their feelings or they're triggered by it. And it's not the case. Like, we really truly want diversity for all genders, for all colors, for all sexual orientations, for whatever you identify with. Like, we don't care. It's about, changing the narrative of the status quo in their thought process. Now, somebody might get triggered by me saying this now, but it's literally old. It's the thoughts and wants and needs of old white men. It just is what it is, right? That continues to rule the motorsports industry. And some old white men understand the need for diversity. Like Roger Penske is a perfect example. This dude's like 83 years old, and he's the funder of the Force Indy program, right? I mean, Penske look him up if you don't know who he is. The dude is a legend, right? You have guys like the King, Richard Petty, right? Champion of diversity, right? I mean, great guy. So there's old white guys who get it, but it just seems like the old white guys who don't get it have a lot of positions of power in this industry. And we just need to open their eyes about what true diversity is and how this industry should look like, which is representative of everybody who enjoys it, or you get out, right? So you either change your thought process or you'll get pushed out by the people who really champion diversity. And my particular fight is for African Americans, right? But even behind the scenes right now, somebody saw what we did last year at SEMA, and they want to do something with the Asian American. They want to create their own thing geared towards Asians. And I'm helping them, right? I'm giving them the blueprint and I'm helping them do it, because that's the part of diversity, right? And even when we talk about, we're going to do a women in racing panel in at PRI, and there's going to be a white woman in there, right? Because it's diversity of all women. So world champion, our focus is African Americans, but guess what? If it's diverse and it fits within the world, let's go. It's like the Skittles bag.
That's right.
Yeah, let's rock with it all. And it's kind of like the NAACP, right? It was founded by X amount of people, but two of the founders were white, right? If you think about, for some of you who don't know, something called the Colored Speedway Association, back in the day, African Americans weren't allowed to race in the Indy 500, right? And so literally next door at the Indiana Fairgrounds, every 4th of July, which is ironic as hell, there was a race called the Golden Glory Sweepstakes, and it took all the black drivers from around the area and gave them their own prestigious race. And the founders of that was the Colored Speedway Association, and I think it was founded by 6 guys, and 3 of them were white. So white people get it. Some of y'all don't. And it's the thought process of, if you don't get it and you're in a position of power, we're really going to try to influence you to change your thought process. But if not, you got to go.
And then and one thing I would say too, kind of talk about what I said earlier, how the kids, they didn't even know this was a thing. Like, the more we get this out here, the more it gets in front of our little kids that don't even know things like this exist. They may not even know that go-karting exists. So to talk about, blacks in motorsports, how Rod is doing with the NXG program. And the NXG program, it starts off as kids. I'm not sure how young they are when they have to start, but it's basically to get them their foot in the door, to start them in carts, then go up to your open wheel, and then USF 2000 and Indy next, and Indy 500 and on up. So that's a lot of the reason why we're doing what we're doing, to get exposure to these kids, to show them that this is a thing and they can do it. Because face it, a lot of the drivers that are here now, they're aging out. So we're going to need new blood. And we want all blood to be in here doing this thing, not just, predominantly one race or another. We want more people.
No, it's true. And what's crazy is that, essentially I started this organization, and after watching Uppity, right, Willie T. Ribb's story,
Haven't seen
maybe
it
4 months before that, I didn't know who Willie T. Ribbs was.
yet.
And I was already in this industry, right? Before, like, my dad used to sit me down Sundays and make me watch NASCAR, and Dale Earnhardt Sr. was the man, right? To me, he's still the GOAT. I didn't know who Bill Lester was. I didn't know who Bobby Norfleet was. I didn't know that there were black people who did this too. I had no clue. So now that, like you said, aged out, or there's individuals like you who are in this industry, you're showing through different organizations and races a blueprint. You're showing kids the blueprint. Like I wound up playing football, right? But if I knew there was a way that I could enjoy cars as a career or even get in it,
Yeah.
I might not have played football.
Yeah.
I've been seeing black people sit in race cars. I like NASCAR. That's things that white people do. That's not. We play basketball, baseball, football,
Right.
and
We
that's how
don't
we
know.
get out. We get out. Well, I don't know anything else. Yeah, it didn't even occur to me that there was a pathway to get to NASCAR. In my adolescent mind, it was just like, oh, you just get in the car and you're good and you go. You didn't know there's a process between it, especially growing up in New York City. I'm not exposed to any racing that way.
And see, my grandparents, their house is literally 2 miles up the street from the Richmond International Raceway track where they do all the big NASCAR races. And when I was little, I could hear them like outside when they're there racing. So my poppy and we would watch it on TV, and I always thought it was cool. And I was like, oh yeah, I would do that. But like you said, you don't think about the steps of how you get there. So that's something that we got to do. We got to do better on. We have to show people the steps, how you get into it, and let them know that it is possible. Like you can do it. And don't let age be a factor, y'all. Okay? You can start at 25. You don't have to start when you're 4. So
True. Look at Bill Lester. He started at 40. The dude was in Silicon Valley playing with microchips and all the other stuff they do there, and he decided I didn't want to do this anymore. And my man made his way into NASCAR at 40 years old. So
that's phenomenal.
Aaliyah said it best: age ain't nothing but a number, right?
Yeah,
so you just gotta go for it. But it's interesting. Like I've talked to some legends in this game, and I'm honored to be able to call some of these guys. And a lot of them are beat up. And when I say beat up, it's like mentally beat up. They have whatever sanctioning bodies that they've raced in for years have either threw dirt on their names. And it's not necessarily the people who are running it now, but like NASCAR, NHRA, and some of these organizations, IndyCar, right, that have just completely tarnished some of these individuals. And I've talked to them, and there's a couple that are alive and they don't want to publicly speak about anything. And I asked the one, I was like, why? Is it that you're just so beat up mentally? And they were like, yeah, I just don't want to have to go through what I went through again. I was like, even if like just to teach a younger generation, it was like they just don't want their name in the spotlight at all because they were ran through the mud for nothing. For nothing. Just being black is the reason why they were ran through the mud.
It sucks though, because man, that That's so hurtful because it's like you go into a thing and you have these big dreams and hopes, and you think there's going to be people that'll lend a hand and show you how to get there. And then you get there, and it's like nobody wants to show you anything. They don't want to tell you any secrets. They don't want to show you anything. And it's hard and it gets tired. It gets old after a while and it makes you want to give up. So the fact that they still continue to go through the steps that they need to do, no matter how hard it was, and get the outcome that they wanted is phenomenal, but it shouldn't have to be that hard. Like
Yeah.
even me, when I got into drag racing, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what a sponsorship packet was. I didn't know what an EPK was. None of that. All this is stuff I had to learn on my own. But when you go to people and you ask them for help, they don't want to help you. They want to gatekeep. And that's something that I strive not to do. Like if somebody comes to me and asks me for help, I'm going to help them because I don't want them to have to go through hell or go through the mud just to get to their dream, if I can help at all. Because there's plenty of room for all of us out here. So
Gatekeeping is such a weird thing, right? I don't think I really understand the concept in totality and why somebody would gatekeep. And I really feel like unless I'm a direct threat to your livelihood or whatever the case is, then I can understand you trying to protect your means, right?
yeah,
But there's people who gatekeep that there's no significant common ground in what you're doing. And it's
yep,
like you just don't want to share information. And
yep,
it's hard. And it sucks when we do it to ourselves, right? As much as we try to point fingers to, oh, the white people this, the white people that. I mean, sometimes we could be our own worst enemy. And
yeah.
it's absolutely crazy. And you just like, you have to deal with enough from just racism in general. And then it's kind of like you see that one other black person in this industry, and and you're like, really? Like
Yeah,
it's us. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, and it's like they know, and it happens. And I say it all the time that I feel like the world it's in a weird place now, but I think it's getting better. But the motorsports industry, the automotive industry is the final frontier. I feel like
Yeah.
it's the last. I mean, if you think about it, 2021 is when NASCAR officially banned the Confederate flag.
Mhm.
And they tried before, and their core fan base got in an uproar, and they said,
Mhm.
okay, they just let them have it. But
Mhm.
until the social justice movement recently happened, and push from Bubba Wallace, that
Mhm.
they finally decided, okay, we're going to ban it.
Yep.
That's 2 years ago. That's
Yeah, I just
insane.
feel like times are changing right now. Like no one can no longer sit there and not do anything. Once the topic is brought into the media, it's like, okay, we got to do something. Like, yeah.
You know what? I
What?
don't know. It's crazy because I've been watching the studies that's saying, when the social justice movement happened, there were
Mhm.
all these pushes for DEI and these companies investing money into diversity
Mhm.
and things dealing with. And recently, they said that has been cut by like 70%. These companies are no longer investing the money. They've cut the employees, and a lot of these individuals who took the career paths to be DEI executives now don't have a job path anymore because all these organizations are erasing that role. So it's like, some of these companies are doing it as a fad or have done it because it was a cool thing to do. It was a fad, it was a keyword, but the sustainability of it for some of them is completely gone. And it's heartbreaking because that's when when the lights turn off and the crowd starts clapping, you
Mhm.
want those companies to continue to push through. And
Yeah.
a lot of them have disappeared.
Yeah.
So it sucks because the progress you make in the matter of a year and a half, 2 years,
Can
and
be
then
gone.
it feels like it's all gone,
Yeah.
and then we have organizations like mine and there's others like it in many other arenas that are trying to push and it's difficult. So, which is why when you think about, companies like Pure Fuel that really push culture, and I think that's a big thing too, right? When you talk about black and white, I think it's a culture thing, right?
Mhm.
It's truly culture. If you use hip hop culture as a microcosm, right? You got, you know, Jadakiss, Jay Z, ASAP Rocky. You got Tyler the Creator. Then you got Eminem, right? You got Cypress Hill. You got Ace, Beastie Boys, right? Culturally, they all enjoy
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake, right? It's culturally a thing. So I feel like a lot of these companies need to start looking at changing their culture of their companies and looking at accepting the culture versus pushing it away. Like the NBA did that years ago. I don't know if you remember because you're kind of young.
I'm not a basketball girly, so sorry. Nope.
So and one used to be like this big deal, like the mixtapes and everything, like basketball, and then they were killing it because the NBA wasn't paying attention to it. And then literally in one commercial, NBA got Jadakiss and all these rappers, and they were doing. And now culturally, Allen Iverson is changing the way he's dressing. Like they accepted a culture which elevated the NBA to where it is now. And I just feel like NASCAR and IndyCar and IMSA and all these organizations, I'm not saying completely abandon your fan base, but be more open to a different culture. I mean, Pizza Hut's putting hip hop in commercials now.
But I also too think that we have to get more diversity in these arenas anyway. First, because it's not a lot. It's not a lot of diversity.
How do we do that though? What is the way? Like, how do we get that first person in, right? And giving them real power to make real change, not just somebody who's the figurehead and the token Negro. Like, how do we get real change? Somebody to really be able to make change.
I really just feel like we have to first get them that exposure to get them in those spaces, like the carts, starting there in general, like showing them that, hey, there is something else out here outside of your regular baseball, football, stuff like that. And how do we get that there? That's what we're working on. That's
okay. You're saying from that level so I was thinking more from like an executive level now. So I agree with you. Get coaching them while they're young, letting them know that there's a pathway. But let's just say like more of a short term. Like, how do we get a company and I've worked with SEMA behind the scenes for many years. A lot of people don't realize this, talking about diversity. It's been at least 4 years now, which is what gave me the ability to do what I was able to do last year and this year. And one thing that I was adamant about, and I was like, you have to hire somebody from DEI that is not from the motorsports industry. I feel like a lot of people from the motorsports industry are tainted, right? They're just so concentrating on the bottom line and scared to lose a little bit to gain a lot, because there's no guarantee on the gain at the end of the day, right? It's business.
For sure.
So, but how do we inject somebody somewhere like with a more immediate goal? Big shout outs to SEMA is they did it, right? There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I won't get into that today, but you know, they took the first step. Like, how do we get other companies to follow that blueprint?
That's a good question. That's a deep one, Chris. Oh gosh. I don't know.
It's tough. But it starts with like somebody like you. If you think, I think like, look at the NBA, right? Especially now, you take Michael Jordan, he just sold it, but he's owner of, Charlotte, right? It's his hometown, and he's an owner, but he's somebody who played and become an owner. So if you look at somebody now like Lewis Hamilton, which, is doing what we're doing across the pond, but he's the GOAT of it, right? Like when he's done racing, if Mercedes, Petronas doesn't make this guy an executive on some sort of level, I would never even sit in the Mercedes again. Like it would.
Could you imagine Lewis being a team principal for Mercedes? Like, could you imagine that?
It would be awesome. And give him like ownership, right? And like look at Messi, right? Like these guys see the value of Lionel Messi and it, like, how come a Lewis Hamilton doesn't get that same respect? I think it's because it's the world that with motorsports. I think F1 is doing a good job.
It may be too, some people, they don't feel like they can even apply for that position because they may not be taken seriously or of their own fearful thoughts.
But I feel like who applies that? Like, Lewis Hamilton don't need to apply for a damn thing,
Well,
right?
no, I'm
Like,
not saying him. No, I'm not
oh
saying him. You said
yeah,
people like.
oh yeah, because I feel like
No.
it's kind of like what Harvard just went through, right? Like, and I'm a fan of Harvard for a number of reasons. I'm working with somebody at Harvard with our education program, and they've done things with Nas, but they're they're getting in trouble for, they call it the legacy admission. Like if I work there, I'm just automatically making sure my son goes there. And I personally have mixed feelings about that because talk about nepotism, and I don't give a damn because as soon as my kids are able to, wherever I'm at, I'm putting them there. And whoever don't like it, too bad, right? So I expect, in that sense, that an executive, it could be a white executive, that sees the potential in a qualified person. I'm not just saying throw anybody there, but hey, you come here, you be willing to take the the shots, take that you're gonna get to protect this dude because you know that he'll be able to do real change. I feel like people are afraid to do that. I mean, Roger Penske has done it, right? And Rod Reed in the Force Indy program, big shout out to him. You got somebody like Paul Newman who, you know, got Willie T. Ribs. He took the shots for Willie T. Ribs. I've heard amazing stories about Carroll Shelby and Tombo, right? There's people who are willing to stick their neck out on the line. Like, we need more of those guys,
Yeah.
right? And the thing about it is the Richard Pettys and all those guys I just mentioned, they're so accomplished in their world and they're unafraid to make the moves that they make. Like, who's going to tell Richard Petty anything, right? Who would have the audacity to be like, nah, bro, you can't do that?
Nobody. I actually got to meet him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm super.
Oh, you said Roger Penske, or did you say Richard Petty?
No, Richard Petty. Yeah.
Oh
Richard
yeah.
Petty.
I got to meet Richard Petty. He is the nicest, sweetest little old man. Like, who could tell that face no? Like, no.
He's tall too, right? Isn't he tall?
Oh my God. The man is like 6'4".
I think he's
I
taller
was
than that because
like,
I saw him 2 years ago at SEMA and he was sitting down and he stood up from a distance and I was like, I think dude's taller than me.
no, he's very tall.
Oh,
He's a sweetheart. He really is.
I'm about to check. How tall is Richard Petty?
I feel like he's like 6'4".
Drum roll. Oh, I'm bugging. He's only 6'2".
Oh, 6'2". Okay, that's cool.
Well, maybe he
But I
felt
think because
8
he's so
feet tall.
slender.
Yeah, that could be it too. He looked like he was 8 feet tall. Man, well, I just hope our fight will continue. You know, what we're doing together for SEMA is huge. We're going to announce it here in the next week. Some of the names that people will expect and haven't seen, and some names that people won't expect. And super excited for that. And it's going to be a game changer. We're
Yes,
really
it
going to
is.
change the face of what SEMA is and expose people to a lot of the good things African Americans are doing in this space. So I'm hyped for it.
Yes. I'm ready for SEMA, y'all. Last year was cool, but this year is gonna be the coolest.
The coolest.
The coolest.
No, I'm hyped. I don't know, man. I'm excited. This is a dope first episode. I really enjoyed it.
We had a little ADD. We was jumping all over the place a little bit, but it's okay, y'all. Y'all get the real in us. So that's all that
Yeah,
matters.
for real. And I feel like
No
my
scripts.
computer's delaying. No script. I had this brown paper bag. So my kids are back to school. So I had to wrap books. And first of all, you think something as simple as book covers would be easy. So I went on I went on YouTube. I had the YouTube how to wrap a textbook with a brown paper bag. And there was like this Asian guy giving a tutorial. And this video was probably legit from like 1983. And it was like 2 minutes. And I watched this video maybe 4 times in a row, which is completely out of control. But I wrapped the book the first time.
That's
And when I did
good.
it, it was so tight and it was so clean. I felt like I just like built a bridge. I felt like the greatest engineer in the world, and I had to do 7 books, right? So now you
You
can't
did
tell
that.
me
You're
nothing.
expert.
I'm an
I'll be looking
expert.
forward. I'll be looking forward to Chris's YouTube how to wrap textbooks.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
I
do it.
think you should.
Using brown paper bags too. We're not putting those slips over it, taking the easy way out. No, we're doing brown paper bags. This is
That's
grade A brown paper too, right? This isn't that low quality stuff.
good.
Guys, first episode is a wrap. Destiny, this was fun. It's a wrap. Next time we're gonna have new topics, new things, and we're gonna
And we
get
might
after
have
it.
a guest.
That's right. We got some interviews coming for you guys too. Some names that a lot of you haven't heard in a long time, and some new faces and some old faces. So it's gonna be dope. Make sure you follow Destiny on Instagram. Her handle's right there. Make sure you go to her website. What's your website as well, Destiny?
It's www.dystanyspurlock.com.
She did that like an infomercial. Um, guys, make
Voice
sure you.
over me.
That's
Voice over
it.
me, please.
You got to tap in, right? Make sure you
That's
tap in with us. That's my social media handle right there under my name. African American Automotive Association, AAAASSOC. You can follow us on Instagram. This is going to be on the YouTube channel, so make sure you tell your people to like and subscribe. And we'll be back soon.